So let's talk social media. Some people hate it, some people love it, some people don't understand it, some people are obsessed with it, and I've been thinking a lot lately about this very thing and how I think social media, especially YouTube, is the new norm. This box has been open, and it's not going anywhere. But it doesn't have to be a bad thing. So I'm going to make 2 points in this video. One for the parents, or not even just parents now, I guess the elderly, those that don't understand it, barely uses technology. And then one for the social media general age group, the younger crowd between, I would say, probably 30 and down, and then 35 and up ish age range. Those are the 2 points. For the young crew, I think there's 3 things you need to understand now that social media is just everywhere. 1, once it's up there, it will never go away. So please think before you post on it. I see so many tragic videos, and people get mad at these all stupid kids, and I'm like, no, that's not the mindset. You need to feel bad for these kids because they're ruining their lives, and we need to make sure that it doesn't keep happening. Clicks are great, and I understand it can make you money, but there's always a cost when you do things that aren't wise. So wisdom, it's the first thing for the younger ones. The second is understanding the influence. So you get 100,000 viewers regularly. Everything you do, you are now influencing those viewers because they have said, hey, you're someone I want to listen to. It puts a responsibility on you. And I feel like a lot of YouTubers don't understand that. A lot of streamers and stuff, they don't understand. You now have a responsibility, and you need to take ownership of that responsibility. And then 3, it is the future. I mean, I'm not trying to take a side, so don't get mad at me, but social media, I believe, in this past presidential election had more of an influence on the election than any mainstream network on television. Any presidential debate was outshined by any podcast done. And it's insane because I think it was either a year or 2 years ago, I told my dad this was going to happen. I was going to say, hey, the news is, I don't want to say dead, but like traditional news and like channel news, networks, it's dead. It's not going to have the influence. It doesn't have the, and he called me crazy. Now I got to tell him, I told you so. Whoop, whoop. But I think it's for you all, I want you to also think as you get older, because I found myself doing it too, being like, oh, well, that's not going to catch on. Look into things, look into things, get a general understanding, and then ask yourself, like, how can this be used in the everyday practical life? So but now let's move on to the older group. For the older group, the biggest thing is when you read something, don't just assume it's true. Unfortunately, there are people out there that their whole entire existence is all around trolling and putting out articles and just saying absurd things on the internet. And because they have what looks like hundreds of millions of followers, people just assume it's true and they just run with it. Don't fall for that trap. You gotta look things up. And I mean, I guess this can go both ways for young and old people. You gotta look up more things. It's really easy too. If, for example, someone said, David, which is me. Hi, I'm David, in case you don't know. David was arrested for killing 300 squirrels. All you do is go David YouTuber, name of channel, and then click the news tab, and if you don't see a bunch of articles from different sources, then just assume it's probably not true. The second thing for the elderly people, if you want to relate to the younger people and have good relationships with them, get involved in it. So it's funny because I've recently been seeing a lot of like probably late 50s, early 60s streamers that are playing video games, right? They call them like grandpa gaming or whatever. And they're playing like Fortnite, or they're playing they're playing like Call of Duty or CS:GO, or even at one point, I'm not sure if they still exist, but Valorant had a senior citizen esports team. And a lot of older people want to be like, oh no, that's not for me, I can't do it. It's not about being good. It's about being able to relate. For a little bit, very little bit, especially during COVID, my dad started playing video games, and me and my brother would be playing, and we'd play Apex with him and Warzone with him. And he was terrible. My dad was absolutely just hot garbage. But it was okay. We didn't care. It wasn't about being good. I play with people that are bad at games all the time. There are people that play games with me that I'm terrible at. It's about the community. It's about the funny moments that happen. Just being able to laugh. Sometimes I get stressful and angry, but it's okay. That just means yes, you care. And the third thing, when it comes to social media, and this, you know what, I'll even say this for both. Also remember, sometimes you just don't need to press post. Your opinion doesn't need to be shared. I know that sounds crazy, because in today's world, everyone posting their thoughts on social media. But I feel like we've gotten to this point where we put all our thoughts and problems on there. And it's like, well, one, there are probably people that are seeing it that you don't want to be involved in this situation. And then I feel like there's other people that are just posting this stuff because they're hoping that someone like comments or reacts, and it's like their cry for help. And I get that. People need help, so they post on social and they hope that they get the sympathy, but it's not really helping you. This is why it's important, and we talk about this, to actually go and create friendships, deep bonds of people that you can call. I have had video ideas before, and I'm like, I'm nervous because maybe they're controversial, and I might not even be trying to like take a side with the videos, but I'm like, no, the community is crazy, whether they're on this side or this side. So I have a great friend, and I call him and I talk, and he gives me his thoughts, and then we talk about the pros and cons, we talk about the risks, and it's really important to do. But I shouldn't post, hey, thinking about doing this video, and seeing what the feedback is. That's not a smart way to do it, because one, it could be, you might get all negative feedback from it. But in all reality, if you send it out to, if you talk to someone that actually knows you and knows your personality, they're going to be like, that's not that big a deal. You'll be alright. You got this. Just take a deep breath. Or maybe, hey, let's just get away for the next few hours and cool off. Or, hey, we're going away this weekend. And they can feed into you. So it's important to make real life relationships. Or not even real life, because I have friends that I don't never met in person. I just know them online. But just making these friends and building relationships. And I think the last thing I want to say is social media is messy. If you try to make videos that everyone's gonna like, you're not gonna make it anywhere. I'm not saying to try to be controversial. I'm not saying to try to attack people. But what I'm saying is you can't be scared to post videos just because you're worried that people might not like what you have to say. There are always going to be people that don't like what you have to say. The part about the election and how social media and podcasts we're crazily influential of the results of our election. That I know there are going to be probably some backlash and some controversy, and people being like, "Oh, you feel this way," and it's like, no. I don't really, it is what it is. The election's over. We'll all go on and live our lives, and in 4 years we get to do it again. unfortunately. Unfortunately, we have to do it again. But and the 4 years after that, we'll have to unfortunately go through it all again. But I think you can't be scared to talk about it, because it is significant for our generation, and it's fascinating to see how something that before was just meant for playing Farmville with your friends on Facebook, or your fave 5 on MySpace, and your background looking cool, and your music on your MySpace and everything, for those of you who remember MySpace, has turned into something that is now an essential part of just your everyday education and growth. And it's exciting. Like, you can be scared of it, but you should be excited, because what that means for me or you or the everyday person that maybe you want to start a podcast that's, let's say you want to start a podcast that talks about the NFL rules, or the NFL in general, and you make episodes that talk about the rules. Like, hey, I don't think this rule makes sense. I don't think, I think it needs to be changed. Yeah, you're going to get flack, but you could spark a fire that ends up getting that rule changed. Or get enough people that be like, hey, this guy actually has a good idea, and it can help grow your channel. That's all I wanted to talk about, because I think it's insane what's going on in the world of social media and entertainment. YouTube is now the number 1 viewed media source in household, which is insane. I mean, YouTube really hasn't been hasn't been around that long, but it is climbing. I mean, you all can remember, I mean, you guys know, when you need a question, you go on YouTube and look it up. So that's all, and I will talk to you next time. See ya.